I bought Myron Golden's $350,000 12-month coaching program. And in this video here, I'm going to go through what was in it, how he sold it to me, and more importantly, was it a scam? And by the way, I'm from Australia. $350,000 USD is $550,000 in Australian currency, and you can buy a brand new 4-bedroom home for that price. You can buy 10 average cars. You can send all your kids to school plus more with extra in return. And so what is in Myron Golden's $350,000 offer? So number one, let's talk about what the end outcome for him to actually enroll at first. He helps. Well, the problem I had was I did not have a super premium value offer. And at the time of my coaching business, the highest offer I've ever had was a $25,000 offer. So his promise was, I can help you sell and create $100,000 offers, $250K offers, and $1 million offers so you can scale to 8 figures faster. That's kind of the promise there. And so what was his deliverables inside the offer? So number one, the first thing is you get 8 hours of one-on-one time with Myron Golden. That's basically what the big positioning part of the offer is. 8 hours of one-on-one time with him. And that's the VIP experience. The second thing you get is what I found most valuable is you get a YouTube interview on his channel, in which at the time of this recording, he's got about 1.2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. So you get a YouTube interview on him, which is great for branding and all those kind of cool stuff. And then the third thing is a monthly call with Myron. Now, there are other monthly group call. Now, there's other inclusions as well, but these were the main 3 points which were most interesting to me. Yes, you get to fly on his jet. Yes, you get to hang on his yacht and all this kind of cool stuff. Yes, there's a back-end library. Yes, there is some support and events included too, but these were the main things that make his offer different from his other offers. And so, how did he sell it to me? This is a really cool story, because if you're thinking, okay, I've got a $5,000 offer, or I've got a $10,000 offer, or I've got a $350,000 offer, I think if you understand the process of how he sold it to me, which is what I was studying when he enrolled that to me, I thought, if I can learn how he did this to me, then I can probably use the same process and principles to sell any offer that I want to sell. And so we were at Russell Brunson's mastermind. That's how I met Myron in the first place. And I was in Russell Brunson's mastermind for a couple of years now. And at his mastermind event, you have a group of people. They come up, they share their best practices that's happening in the business right now. And so everyone can learn from what's working best right now. And also you get the opportunity to say, hey, this is what I'm most stuck on right now. And then the whole room will start to help you out and help you get unstuck, because chances are there's going to be one person in that room that solved that problem before, and they can just shortcut your journey. And so in this particular mastermind in October in 2024, I believe, I was up on stage and I shared what was working best right now. And the biggest problem I had at the time was we just were struggling to get our webinar to convert. And Myron was in the room, Russell was in the room, Eileen's in the room. There's a few really cool entrepreneurs in the room. And he said, Richmond, what's your value ladder look like? And I'm thinking, what's that got to do with anything? I'm talking about webinars. And so I drew out my value ladder. And my value ladder kind of just looked like this. At the time, I had a 5K. And I had a 30K. And that was it. That's all I had. And then Myron's looking at me. And he says to me, Richmond, where is your 100K offer in that? I'm like, what's this got to do with webinars? He's like, it has everything to do with webinars. And I couldn't even fathom, yet alone having a 100K offer, what would be in it, how to sell it, am I even worth it? I had all these limiting beliefs and stories and hesitations around that. And so I kind of became really uncoachable. And I said, okay, look, I don't really want to talk about 100K offer. I just want to fix my webinar. And he kind of retracted and went a bit back, and I thought, okay, that's fine. And it was a really interesting thing, because later that day, I caught an Uber home with Eileen Wider, and Eileen is now talking to me about Richmond. Yeah, like Myron's talking about his 100K offer. Yeah, I've got 100K offers. I've got 250K offers. I'm surprised you've never sold a 100K offer. And I'm like, why is now Eileen talking to me about 100K offers now? It's a really weird sign. Now I'm hearing it twice in a day. And it just kind of sat there, and I'm thinking, okay, is this a sign from the universe? Am I being told something? I wasn't sure, but I kind of left it because I had so much resistance about it. I just didn't think it was possible. Later that night, we had dinner, and I'm sitting down with Russell, Colette, his wife, and Myron's across the table, Phyllis and Sis, and a few other entrepreneurs there. And then the topic came up one more time. And then Myron says, Richmond, what's your resistance to this 100K offer? I don't see why you're resisting so much. You are one of the smartest coaches I know. You're brilliant. You're competent. You add so much value. Have you helped people make $1 million? And yeah, I said many times before. And it's like, well, I don't understand why you don't have a 100K offer. And so I wasn't getting it. And obviously, clearly, there was something I wasn't seeing. And so he played this game with me where he put out a $100 note and he said, you got 60 seconds to give me $10. And if you give me $10 in 60 seconds, I'm going to give you this $100 note. Now, I'm from Australia. I didn't have USD currency, so I put out an Australian note. He's like, I don't want an Australian note. And I'm like, well, I don't have $10. And I'm like so stressed. Everyone's thinking, Richmond, here, borrow the money. It was 20 seconds in, and I didn't even think about borrowing the money. And then I asked Russell, do you have $10? And he pulls out his wallet, he's got $5. And I'm like, who else has got $5? And people pulling money. And by the end of the game, I ran out of time, and I lost. And I didn't win the $100. But there was a big lesson in that game because he said, Richmond, did you actually want that $100? And I said, yes. But obviously, I wasn't resourceful enough to figure it out in the time frame that I was given. And he said, if I gave you $1,000 and all you need to do was trade me $100 for it, would you do that trade? And I said, yes. What if I gave you $1 million in trade for $100,000? Would you do that trade? And I said, yes. It's like, that's the offer. You offer 100K when you can help someone make $1 million because you offer the payoff. It's not the pieces, it's not everything else, because I thought I had to sell all of my time to do that. And it's like, no, you sell outcomes, you don't sell time. And so even though I was doing 7 figures in my business, I was still in the mindset of trading time for money, not outcomes for money. And I had a big aha moment after losing that game. Yes, it was embarrassing because I lost in front of Russell. And that aha moment was this, is that if I can help someone get an outcome, the time is irrelevant. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I put out my phone and I thought, I'm going to make my very first 100K offer. Put out my phone and I messaged one of my students, Kaylee, and I thought, I'm just going to do it. So I messaged Kaylee, hey Kaylee, how you going, that kind of thing. I have a 100K offer for you. How much do you trust me? And she's like, I trust you a lot. Cool. And then I said, okay, I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. And she said, no, tell me now. I'm like, okay, here's the short of it. It's going to help you make $1 million. I can guarantee that for you. And I knew I could because I've already helped it in the past. And to get started on this offer, I just need $10,000 deposit. And then I can tell you more about the rest of it. So I was doing what Myron said, selling the payoff. And to my surprise, within a couple of hours, Kaylee said, yes, I'm in. And she didn't ask any questions and sent me $10,000, and that was when I sold my first 100K offer. But here's the funny thing. Here's the rest of the story, because the title of this video is, I invested $350,000 in Myron Golden. Was it a scam? So the next day, I was like so happy. I said, Myron, I sold my first 100K offer. I got the transformation. He's like, that's amazing. Can I shoot a video with you and also to congratulate Kaylee? And he's like, he's so happy for me. And he's like, of course. I pull out my phone I'm with Myron and we're shooting the video. And Myron's like, hey, Kaylee, congratulations for being Richmond's first 100K offer. This is your rite of passage so you can sell 100K offers to your clients and we can sell more. And so Richmond's an amazing coach and all that kind of stuff. And during that video, I said, Kaylee, one of the gifts I want to give you for signing up is I'm going to give you a personal introduction to Myron. And he's like, ooh, okay. Well, since that's the case, Kaylee, I've got a 100K offer for Richmond. And literally, this is on the video. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? And he says to me, Richmond, I'm going to make you a 100K offer to spend a day on my yacht. And if you say yes, you get to bring Kaylee as a +1. And I'm like, and I was really put on the spot. And I'm like, okay, yes. I guess, Kaylee, I'll just take your 100 and give it to Myron. And it was a really funny moment. But I felt like vomiting because I've never invested $100,000 in an offer before, yet alone I just made a $100,000 offer and I just wanted to celebrate it for a minute and I didn't even get a chance to do that. And even though I said yes and felt like vomiting, I followed through with it. And so I transferred Myron $100,000, basically the $100,000 I got from Kaylee to Myron. But here's the thing. Despite feeling like I wanted to vomit, a couple of months later, we went on to his yacht. And the value that I experienced and Kaylee experienced was out of this world. And then at that point, he basically asked me, hey, Richmond, would you like to upgrade to my $350,000 offer? And if you do, then I'm willing to absorb the 100K you invested. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I just invested 100,000. Like now it's an extra 250 on top of that. And I said no. Well, not that I said no, but I didn't say yes at that time. And then there was another opportunity to fly on his jet because one of the things he was going to throw in with the 100K offer is you can fly back on my jet. And so on the jet, and we were flying from Tampa to Las Vegas, he asked me one more time at the end of the 5-hour jet experience. And he said, Richmond, the question you got to ask yourself, this was the closing line. This is the line that he used on me to close me on his $350K offer. He said, Richmond, the question you got to ask yourself is this: would you like this to be a one-time experience or a new standard in your life? And I thought, oh, that's the line that got me. And so then I signed up to his $350,000 offer, and that was also with the support of my wife Penny, who was there as well. And she said, "You should do it. You should do it." So that was kind of like the sales process. Now, I want to share with you the delivery now. So now I'm in his $350K offer, which I had to transfer $550K paid in full AUD. What were the deliverables? What have I got up until this point? Now, at the time of shooting this video, I've been in his $350K coaching program for only about 7 months. So I still got 5 months to go. So I want to share with you what some of the results are so far. So he definitely helped me sign my very first $100,000 client in Kaylee. But since then, we signed on another 3 $100,000 clients, which was crazy because the moment you do one, you believe you can do another one. And he gave me the belief that I could do another one. He actually didn't sit down with me to go through what was all the little things in the $100,000 offer. He just actually helped me become the person to be able to sell a $100,000 offer. And he'll say that he actually didn't help me put out all the pieces and stuff. That actually didn't matter. And then I sold 3, but the cool thing is an additional 3. So that's 4. My other business partner, Tony, he was blown away because I was starting to sell it. And then he also sold 5. So between me and my business partner, we had sold 9 100K offers. You're going to think, oh, it's only a couple of months ago I was having dinner with him. I couldn't even fathom how you could sell it. But because we believed it was actually possible, because we started to sell the payoff, which was we could help our students get a 10x ROI and make $1 million. And we've done it so many times now. So that was mind-blowing, and I really did feel like a different person. So we've already almost 3x our income just from that. But in Myron's 350K offer, you get to bring a +1 to his events. And I thought, well, there's no better person to bring as a +1 than the first person that said yes to me, and that was Kaylee. And I brought Kaylee in as a +1, and it turns out we get along extremely well. We gel together. And so Kaylee and I went to Myron's, one of his fulfillment events that's part of the offer, a 2-day event called Mouth to Millions. And in Mouth to Millions, he shows you on how to create a $1 million offer, how to become that person. And so we learned the principles on that. And that day, after the event, as we're going home on the plane, Kelly and I made our very first $1 million offer, and that person said yes. And so then we sold our very first $1 million offer. And then a few months later, we sold our second one. And so to date, we have made $2.9 million from selling 100K offers and $1 million offers. So that's my personal experience. This is not a testimonial for Myron. I'm showing you my personal experience. So to answer the question, did I get scammed? Well, you make the judgment yourself. Now, that was the first thing. And I've only had 2 hours of one-on-one with Myron at this point, so he's still got 6 hours to fulfill. The YouTube video, I want to talk about that. So I've been interviewed on his YouTube video. You can check it out. You can watch the interview. Basically, it was, Myron's got a huge brand, and being on Myron's YouTube video is going to grow your brand. And so one of the things, the reason why I invested the money, because I realized that you can try to grow your brand the slow way, or you can try to grow it the fast way by borrowing brand equity from people who already have a brand. And so that's my thinking around it. So I went in his YouTube video. He interviewed me about these things we could do called the Tiny Challenge. And it was about a 35-minute interview. Now, that 35-minute video, we sold 1,200 books. 1,200 books. And our book is free plus shipping, but there's, order bumps, all that kind of stuff. The average cart value of the book was about $32. And so we actually had made over $30,000, I think about $34,000 to be exact, just from book sales, from that 35-minute video. To date, it's got about 40,000 views. It's a pretty good result. But here's the crazy thing. Because book buyers are your warmest leads. They love you. They've read your book. They got their book in their hand. Those in the next 30 days converted into an extra 350,000, 350K in sales from the book, because they went to our event that we gave away with the book. We sold them our 30K, and then we downside of 5K, and we made 350,000. So from just the YouTube video alone, we made $384,000. So that brings this total up to about if my maths is correct, 3.28 million-ish, something like that, right? And so that was kind of the outcome 7 months into the program, 3.28 million just from Myron. This is not including anything we made currently from our business, just from Myron, from 100K offers, from $1 million offers, and from his YouTube channel. Why am I sharing all this with you? Because the final thing I want to share with you is I'm not saying that, oh my gosh, if you're going to join Myron's program, there's not a testimonial for Myron. It's not like, oh, don't get any affiliate links or anything like that, and that you would even get the same result. I mean, I know a lot of people in his program, and everyone's had variations of different results and different experiences. I do want to share with you on how I got that result and my thinking around it and my approach to when I get coached, whether I buy a $1,000 course, a $5,000 program, a $10,000, a $50,000, or $350,000. I've always got an ROI when I buy programs. And I know that that's not the case for everyone who buys programs. There's certainly a lot of people who buy programs and don't get an ROI. So I want to share with you my thinking when I invest in a program and how I make sure at least I get the result. And it's this, and you might want to write this down, is that I believe I'm responsible for making it work. And so no matter what I've invested in the past, I always make it work. I always make it work. And that's step number one, make it work. I didn't drop 350K in Myron and say, okay, Myron, you do all the work. It's all on you now. That's very entitled. So I don't come from an entitled point of view. I always make it work. But here's the second thing. I always follow through on what my coach tells me to do, because if I'm paying for that advice, it's arrogant for me to believe that I know better. And I don't think that at any point in time that they are there to actually give me advice that's going to steer me down the wrong path. Like, there is no benefit for them to steer me down the wrong path, because if they did that, it'll make them look bad. And then I won't win. And it's, so there's no benefit for them to steer me down the wrong path, and I don't know better. That's why they're there and I'm here. And so those two things, I always make it work. I always listen to my coach. And then the third thing is then just follow through fast and just do what they say fast. Because the longer you leave it from learning a new concept to implementing, the more stories you're going to get in your head as to why it won't work. And so those are my 3 tips on how I've always managed to get an ROI inside any coaching program that I bought, because I always make it work. I listen to my coach and I implement fast. I trust this video was valuable to you. I'm also going to shoot a video because I invested $100,000 into Andy Elliott's mastermind. Was that a scam? I also got a video that I also spent $275,000 in Russell Brunson's mastermind. Was that a scam? So keep tuned, follow the channel, because those videos will be coming out on the channel as well.